Welcome back, my dear adventurers, to another night of exciting adventure tales. Aelwyn Moonwake at your service, and welcome to my land, the magical lands of Aetherfall. This world is filled with magic, action, deceit, love, revenge, and so much more. So sit back and relax as we drift deeper into the adventure tales of Aetherfall.
You're about to become part of a journey across lands touched by starlight and shadow. Perhaps you're a wanderer who's always felt the pull of mana in your bones, even if you've never learned to shape it. Maybe you're a scholar seeking answers to questions older than kingdoms. Or perhaps you're simply a warrior who heard a call in your dreams and couldn't ignore it anymore. The choice of who you were before this journey is yours to make. But tonight, you walk the ancient roads of Aetherfall alongside two companions who will become more like family before this tale is through. Together, you'll chase whispers of a dragon named Aetherion the Dreamwing, whose story has been lost to time, but whose presence still shapes the very fabric of this world. They say he guards something precious. They say he's been waiting for someone brave enough to find him. So take a deep breath, let the weight of your day settle behind you, and step with me now into a world where magic flows like water and every horizon promises wonder and adventure. Pack your hopes and quiet your fears, and let's begin. You stand at the edge of Lunara Vale as the last light of evening paints the silver grass in shades of amber and violet. The plains stretch before you like an ocean frozen in gentle waves, and the air itself seems to shimmer with residual mana from the day's passage. Your traveling pack rests comfortably against your shoulders, worn leather that's carried you through more miles than you can easily count. The breeze that touches your face is cool and sweet, carrying the scent of moonflowers just beginning to open their petals to the darkening sky. You've been walking for 3 days since leaving the trade roads of Veloria, following a map that appeared in your dreams with such clarity that you woke with your fingers already tracing its lines in the air. The map led you here, to the edge of Lunara Vale, where you were told 2 others would be waiting. 2 others who dreamed the same dream, who heard the same call whispered in the wind. And there they are. The first is a moon elf woman, tall and graceful, with skin that seems to hold its own soft luminescence in the gathering dusk. Her hair falls in waves of silver white, bound back with a circlet of woven starlight that marks her as a keeper of lore from the celestial archives. She's seated on a smooth stone, her traveling robes the color of twilight, and she's writing something in a leather-bound journal with careful, deliberate strokes. When she looks up and meets your eyes, her gaze is warm despite its otherworldly quality. "You must be the third," she says, her voice musical and patient. "I'm Celeria Moonshadow. I've been expecting you, though I confess I wasn't sure you'd actually come. These dreams we've been having, they're not the usual sort, are they?" Before you can answer, a second voice cuts through the evening air, rough and amused. "Course they're not usual. Dreams don't usually come with instruction manuals and geographic coordinates." The speaker is a dwarven man, stocky and strong, with copper-red hair braided in intricate patterns shoulder length. His beard, fierce but maintained, catches the fading light as he approaches from where he'd been examining the trunk of an ancient silverbark tree. He wears the practical leather and chainmail of a traveling stone-forged, and you can see the faint glow of runic inscriptions along the hammer hanging at his belt. Torva Ironroot, he introduces himself with a slight nod. Runesmith from the Ashenspire range. I've been having these dreams for 2 weeks now, same as you both, I'd wager. A dragon, ancient and vast, calling us to find him before... He trails off, frowning slightly. Before something ends. The dreams never quite make that part clear. You introduce yourself, and as you speak your name aloud to these strangers who somehow feel like old friends, something settles in your chest, a rightness, a certainty that whatever brought the three of you together was no accident. Celeria closes her journal and stands, moving with the fluid grace of her kind. I've spent the last 10 years studying the old legends in the celestial archives. Dragons aren't just myths in Aetherfall, they're part of the world's foundation, mana-born entities from the earliest ages, when magic fell from the sky like snow and shaped everything it touched. She pauses, looking out across the moonlit plains. But most of them are gone now, sleeping, faded, or transformed into something else entirely. Only a handful remain, and Aetherion the Dreamwing is one of the oldest.
Torva grunts, crossing his arms. My clan's records mention him too. Said he disappeared into the Loomlands. Others claim he sealed himself away to prevent something terrible. He looks at both of you, his dark eyes serious. Either way, if he's calling us now after all this time, something's changed. The three of you make camp there at the edge of Lunara Vale, beneath the spreading branches of an ancient moonwood tree. Torva proves surprisingly skilled at coaxing a fire from damp kindling, his rune-carved hammer producing just enough controlled heat to catch the flames. Celeria shares dried fruit and honey cakes from her pack, along with a flask of something that tastes like starlight and summer rain. You contribute what you can, and soon the three of you are sitting in comfortable companionship, watching the stars emerge one by one in the darkening sky. "Tell me," Celeria says softly, gazing into the dancing flames, "what did you see in your dreams? Specifically, I mean, the details matter." You close your eyes, remembering. In your dreams, you saw a dragon of impossible size and beauty, scales that shifted between silver and deepest blue, wings that seemed woven from the fabric of night itself. His eyes were ancient and sad, filled with a wisdom that made your heart ache. And he spoke, though not in words. The message came as feeling, as knowing. "Find me," he said, "before the threads are cut, before the last flight ends."
When you open your eyes, both Celeria and Torva are nodding slowly. "Same," Torva murmurs, "every detail, the sadness in his eyes especially." He pokes at the fire with a stick, sending up a small shower of sparks. "My grandmother used to say that dragons don't just guard treasures, they guard truths, things the world needs to remember but has chosen to forget." Celeria unfolds the map she's been carrying, spreading it carefully on the ground between you. It's beautifully rendered, showing the provinces of Aetherfall in precise detail. According to every source I could find, Aetherion was last seen near the border between the Loomlands and Nocthia Vale. That's not an easy journey from here. We'll need to cross through Sylvain Bloom, skirt the edge of Aethermere, and then navigate some of the most mana-saturated regions in the world. Dangerous, you observe quietly. Very, Celeria agrees, but necessary. Whatever Aetherion is guarding, whatever he needs us to understand, it won't wait forever. I can feel it. The dreams are getting stronger. Torva nods firmly. Then we leave at first light, friends. Rest while you can, friends. Tomorrow, the real journey begins. The next morning dawns soft and silver, the sun rising through layers of mist that cling to the valleys of Lunara Vale like gentle breathing. The three of you break camp in comfortable silence, each of you moving with the practiced efficiency of experienced travelers. There's something peaceful about these small rituals, the way Torva checks his equipment with methodical care, the way Celeria murmurs a quiet blessing over the campfire before extinguishing it, the way you all fall into step together without needing to discuss the order. The path leads you northeast toward the forest realm of Sylvain Bloom. The transition between provinces is gradual at first, the silver grasses of Lunara Vale slowly giving way to clusters of wild roses and flowering vines. The air grows warmer, heavier with the scent of growing things, and you begin to hear the distinctive whisper song of the living forest ahead. Celeria explains as you walk, her voice taking on the rhythmic quality of a practiced teacher. Sylvain Bloom is what we call a Mana Level 4 region, overcharged. The trees there have been absorbing concentrated magic for so long that they've developed a kind of collective awareness. They're not hostile exactly, but they're protective, will need to show respect. Meaning don't go carving your initials in the bark, or picking flowers without asking, or generally acting like you own the place. The forest spirits there have long memories and creative ways of expressing displeasure. You make a mental note of both pieces of advice as the forest canopy begins to close overhead. And what a canopy it is! The trees of Sylvain Bloom are unlike anything you've seen before. Massive and ancient, their trunks wide enough that 10 people holding hands couldn't circle them. The bark shimmers with veins of soft green light, mana flowing through the wood like sap. Flowers the size of dinner plates bloom in impossible colors, petals that shift through shades of purple, blue and silver as you watch. The air itself seems alive, filled with tiny motes of golden light that drift lazy spirals between the branches. Beautiful, you breathe, unable to help yourself. And listening, Celeria reminds gently, remember, show respect. The three of you walk carefully through the forest, keeping to what looks like an established path, though the trail seems to shift and adjust itself around you. Once, you see what might be a face in the bark of a particularly old oak, eyes of knotted wood watching your passage with patient curiosity. Torva nods respectfully to it, and after a moment you feel rather than hear something like approval ripple through the forest around you. That night, you camp in a small clearing where the trees have drawn back to create a perfect circle of soft moss. A spring bubbles up from between ancient roots, the water so clear and cold it makes your teeth ache in the best way. Celeria fills the water skins while Torva sets up a small cooking fire, carefully clearing the moss away first and replacing it afterward. Over a simple meal of rice and vegetables seasoned with herbs Celeria gathered along the path, the conversation turns more personal. "Can I ask," Torva says, looking at you across the flickering flames, "what made you answer the call? I mean really answer it, not just wonder about strange dreams and go back to sleep." You consider the question carefully. The truth is, you've been wondering for a long time, following an instinct you couldn't quite name. The dreams of Aetherion felt like the first clear direction you'd had in years, like someone finally telling you where you were supposed to go, what you were supposed to do. You try to put this into words, haltingly at first,
but both Celeria and Torva listen with genuine attention. When you finish, Celeria nods slowly. I understand that feeling. I've spent so long studying other people's stories, recording their adventures and discoveries. Part of me wondered if I'd ever have my own story worth recording. She smiles softly. This feels like that story. Whatever we find at the end of this journey, it'll be ours, something real. Torva stares into the fire, his rough features softened by the warm light. My people, the Stone-Forged, we're taught that every person has a purpose worked into them, like runes in metal. But finding that purpose, actually understanding what you're meant to do, that's the hard part. He glances up at both of you. Maybe that's what Aetherion offers, not treasure, understanding. The forest whispers around you, and for a moment you could swear you hear distant music, like wind through crystal chimes. The three of you sit in companionable silence, watching the stars appear through the gaps in the canopy overhead, and you feel something shift in your chest. These aren't just traveling companions anymore. They're friends, people you'd trust with your life, even though you've known them for less than 2 days. The next morning, you continue through Sylvain Bloom, and the forest gradually transitions into something else. The trees thin, the ground slopes downward, and suddenly you're standing at the edge of the most breathtaking sight you've ever witnessed. Aethermere. The great lake stretches before you like a piece of fallen sky, its surface so perfectly reflective that you can't tell where the water ends and the heavens begin. Floating islands drift slowly across its expanse, each one covered in lush vegetation and trailing roots that touch the water like gentle fingers. And above the lake, moving with impossible grace, are the sky whales. Massive, ethereal creatures that swim through the air itself, their bodies translucent and filled with swirling mana. "Level 5, Celeria whispers, awe clear in her voice. "Cataclysmic mana saturation, the heart of the world." Torva lets out a low whistle. "I've heard about Aethermere all my life, but seeing it..." She shakes her head. "No wonder they say reality itself bends for you." You can feel it, the sheer concentration of magical energy pressing against your skin like a physical force. It's not unpleasant exactly, but it's overwhelming, like standing at the base of a waterfall, surrounded by power and possibility. The path Celeria's map indicates skirts the eastern edge of Aethermere, keeping you close enough to marvel at the lake's beauty, but far enough to avoid the worst of the mana storms that occasionally flare across its surface. As you walk, you see other travelers, pilgrims and scholars and mages who've come to study this convergence point. Some nod in greeting, others are too lost in their own contemplations to notice your passage. At one point, a sky whale passes directly overhead, so close you can see the delicate patterns in its translucent skin, the way mana flows through its body like blood through veins. It sings as it passes, a sound that resonates in your bones and brings tears to your eyes for reasons you can't quite explain. Beautiful, lonely, ancient. "They remember," Celeria says softly, watching the creature swim away into the distance. "Sky whales live for thousands of years. They remember the world before the mana fall began, before Aetherfall became what it is now. Sometimes I wonder if they're sad, if they miss what was lost." "Everything changes," Torva says, her voice unusually gentle, "even the eternal. Maybe that's why Aetherion called us. Maybe he needs help accepting change. You walk in thoughtful silence for a time, each of you lost in your own reflections. The afternoon sun turns Aethermere into a sheet of molten gold, and the beauty of it makes your heart feel too large for your chest. That evening, you camp well away from the lake's edge at Celeria's recommendation. Even at a distance, you can feel the mana pulsing like a second heartbeat, and your dreams that night are vivid and strange. You dream of flying, of seeing the world from impossible heights, of carrying something precious and heavy and absolutely necessary. When you wake, Torva is already up, performing what looks like a series of stretching exercises in the pre-dawn light. He notices you watching and grins. Old habit, got to keep the muscles ready. Never know when you might need to run from an angry forest spirit or climb a floating island. Has that second thing actually happened to you, you ask, sitting up and rubbing sleep from your eyes. Not yet, he admits cheerfully, but we're in Aetherfall, give it time. Celeria emerges from her bedroll more slowly, her hair slightly disheveled and her eyes still soft with sleep. It's more human-like this, less like an ethereal scholar and more like someone who snores a little and has trouble waking up. It's endearing. Over breakfast, she spreads the map again, tracing the route ahead with one slender finger. We're making good time. Another 2 days should bring us to the edge of the Loomlands. That's where things get complicated. How complicated, you ask? The Loomlands exist at a level 4 mana saturation, but it's different from Sylvain Bloom. Here, the magic makes things grow. There, it affects time and fate itself. You'll see echoes of possible futures, shadows of past events. The Fate Keepers who live there have learned to navigate it, but for outsiders, she hesitates. Stay close to each other. Don't follow any paths that look too inviting, and whatever you do, don't accept help from anyone who doesn't cast a shadow. Torva raises an eyebrow. That's oddly specific. Old Elven warning. Beings that exist outside normal time don't interact with light the same way. No shadow means they're not entirely real, not in the way we are anyway. The journey continues, and you notice the landscape beginning to change again. The ground becomes rockier, scattered with strange crystalline formations that hum softly when the wind passes over them. The sky takes on a peculiar quality, as if you're seeing it through multiple layers of glass, each one showing a slightly different time of day. Morning and afternoon and dusk, all existing simultaneously. And then you see the threads. They hang in the air like spider silk, gossamer strands of pure light that connect everything to everything else. Celeria explains that these are fate lines, the Loomlands made visible. Every choice, every possibility, every potential future woven together in an endless tapestry. Don't touch them, she warns. Pulling on a thread could change things in ways we can't predict. You walk carefully through this strange landscape, and at one point you see yourself, or rather, you see a shadow of yourself, walking a slightly different path, making a different choice about which way to turn at a fork in the road. The shadow you looks sad, regretful. You quickly look away and stick close to your companions. That night, you camp in a circle of standing stones that Celeria assures you is safe, a neutral space where the threads don't pull quite so strongly. The fire burns with colors that don't quite match normal flames, and the stars overhead seem to move in patterns that almost form words if you stare at them too long. Tomorrow, Celeria says quietly, we'll reach the border with Nocthea Vale. That's where Aetherion was last seen according to the archives. That's where we'll find him. You sound concerned, Torva observes. Nocthea Vale is level 3 mana saturation, but it's corrupted, twisted. The magic there doesn't flow naturally. She struggles for words. It watches, waits, remembers. If Aetherion has been there for 200 years, exposed to that environment, she doesn't finish the thought, but she doesn't need to. You all understand the implication. We'll face it together, you say firmly, whatever we find. We've come this far. Torva nods and reaffirms, together. Celeria joins the gesture, her cool fingers squeezing gently. Together.
The border between the Loomlands and Nocthea Vale is marked by a standing gateway of black stone, ancient and weathered by time immemorial. Strange symbols are carved into its surface, and as you pass beneath it, you feel the quality of the air change, heavier, watchful. Beyond the gateway, the land is perpetually twilight, caught in that liminal space between day and night that never quite resolves into either. The vegetation here is dark, almost black, with leaves that shimmer with an oily iridescence. The trees are twisted and gnarled, but there's a strange beauty to them, like finding art in decay. Stay alert, Celeria murmurs, and keep your thoughts positive. Negative emotions can manifest here as actual threats. You walk for hours through this unsettling landscape, following Celeria's careful navigation and Torva's instincts about safe paths. At one point, you see something moving in the shadows between trees, something with too many legs and eyes that glow with corrupt mana, but it doesn't approach, just watches your passage with what might be curiosity or hunger. It's impossible to tell. And then, just as the light is beginning to fail, you see it. A massive cave entrance, its mouth easily large enough to swallow a house. Mana radiates from it in waves, level 4 at least, and the air around it ripples like heat haze. "This is it," Celeria whispers. "This is where he is."
The three of you stand at the cave's entrance, and for a long moment no one moves. Fear is natural, you tell yourself. You'd be a fool not to be afraid, but you've come too far to turn back now. "Together?" Torva asks sternly. "Together," you confirm. The cave descends deep into the earth, and the walls glow with veins of crystallized mana that provide just enough light to see by. The air grows warmer as you descend, and you begin to hear it, breathing, slow and deep and ancient, like the tide of some vast ocean. The tunnel opens into a cavern so large you can't see the ceiling, and there, coiled in the center like a mountain of living silver and midnight, is Aetherion. He's even more magnificent than your dreams suggested. His scales shift color with each breath, reflecting light that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. His wings, folded against his massive sides, are translucent membranes shot through with veins of pure starlight. And his eyes, when they open and focus on the three of you, are ancient and sad and infinitely kind. "You came," his voice resonates, not in your ears, but in your mind, in your very soul. After all this time, someone finally heard, someone finally answered. "Great Aetherion," Celeria says, her voice trembling with awe and emotion. "We're here as you called. We're here to help if we can, to understand."
The dragon's massive head lowers until one eye, larger than your entire body, is level with your group. Help. Yes, that is what I need. But first, you must understand what I am, what I guard, and why I can no longer do so alone. Images flood your mind, shared by the dragon's telepathic connection. You see Aetherfall as it was 200 years ago. You see the mana flows beginning to shift and change. See Aetherion, younger then and filled with purpose, accepting a charge from beings of pure light. Guard the Nexus, they told him. Keep it sealed until the world is ready to understand. The Nexus, you understand in a flash of insight, is a convergence point of pure mana, a place where reality itself becomes fluid. In the wrong hands, it could remake the world, destroy it, transform it beyond recognition. I have guarded it faithfully. Aetherion's voice is heavy with sorrow. But the mana here, the corruption of Nocthea Vale, it has been eating at me, slowly, inevitably. I am not what I was. I can feel myself changing, becoming something else, something that might not remember its purpose. You feel Celeria's hand find yours, squeezing tightly. Feel Torva move closer, the three of you unconsciously forming a protective circle. What do you need from us? You ask, voice steady despite the fear and sadness in your heart. I need you to take my place, Aetherion says simply. Not as guardians in the way I was. The Nexus no longer needs to be sealed away. The world has changed, grown. It's ready now for what the Nexus authors. But it needs guides, keepers who understand both its power and its danger. 3 souls, bound by friendship and purpose, who can help others understand what they find here. He shifts, and you see it then. Behind the dragon, set into the cavern wall, is a doorway of pure light. The Nexus. I am tired, Aetherion admits, and the weight of centuries is in those words. I am corrupted. I am fading. But I held on long enough to find you, long enough to pass this charge to those worthy of carrying it. We're just travelers, Celeria protests weakly. I'm a scholar, Torva's a runesmith, and you are friends, Aetherion interrupts gently. You are brave. You are kind. You answered a call from a dying dragon you'd never met, across lands you'd never walked, because you heard suffering and wanted to help. That is what the Nexus needs. Not power, not perfection, compassion. Torva's voice, slightly wavering. What happens to you if we accept this? I can finally rest, the dragon says, and something like relief colors his mental voice. I can let go, transform, become part of the mana flow itself, scattered across Aetherfall like starlight. A good ending for an old guardian. You look at your companions, see the tears on Celeria's face, the set of Torva's jaw as he fights for composure. Feel your own eyes burning. We accept, you say, speaking for all 3 of you, knowing somehow that they agree. We'll guard the Nexus. We'll help others understand it. We'll honor your service. From the thousands of beautiful scales on Aetherian, a rush of magic carries a few hundred in front of the three of you, swirling, twisting, and turning in complex shapes. 3 forms begin to take shape: a staff that places itself in front of Celeria, an axe that places itself in front of Torva, and a long sword that places itself in front of you. Take up these sacred treasures and defend the Nexus in my name.
The joy that radiates from Aetherian is like sunrise after the longest night. Thank you. Thank you. I can finally... He doesn't finish the sentence. His form begins to glow brighter and brighter until you have to shield your eyes. You feel warmth, like being embraced by pure love, and then a rush of knowledge and power flowing into your mind and body. Understanding of the Nexus, its purpose, its power, how to guide others to it, how to protect it while allowing it to help those ready to learn from it. When the light fades, Aetherian is gone. In his place, scattered across the cavern floor like fallen stars, are thousands of luminous scales. And in your chest, shared between the three of you, is a warmth that will never fade, a connection to each other and to the dragon who trusted you with his final gift. Celeria is the first to move, kneeling to touch one of the scales reverently. It pulses with soft light at her touch. He's at peace now. I can feel it. He's everywhere, part of the world he loved so much. Torva wipes his eyes roughly with the back of her hand. Damn dragon, making me cry like a child. But his voice is fond, loving. You turn to face the Nexus, this doorway of light that is now your responsibility to guard and guide. Through it you can see infinite possibilities, futures that could be, knowledge that could heal or harm depending on who wields it, and you understand, finally, why this needed 3 of you. No one person could carry this weight alone, but together, bound by friendship and shared purpose, you can do this.
So, you say, trying for lightness despite the enormity of what just happened. I guess we're not going back to our old lives. Guess not, Torva agrees. He looks at the Nexus, then at both of you, and his expression softens into something like wonder. But you know what? I can't think of better company for a lifetime appointment. Celeria smiles, and it transforms her face from merely beautiful to radiant. A lifetime studying the Nexus, helping others understand it with my 2 best friends. There are worse fates. The 3 of you stand together, looking at the light that is now your charge, your purpose, your future. And despite everything, despite the tears and the weight of responsibility, you feel happy, complete, like you finally found where you were always meant to be. That night, you camp in Aetherion's cavern, which no longer feels dark or threatening, but peaceful, safe. The scales scattered across the floor provide gentle illumination, and the Nexus hums a soft lullaby that seems designed to ease troubled hearts. I have a question, Torva says, lying on his back and staring up at the distant cavern ceiling. The dragon said the world is ready now for what the Nexus offers. What do you think it offers? What will we be helping people find? Celeria considers this carefully. I think it offers understanding, not just knowledge, but true comprehension of how everything connects, how mana flows through the world, through all of us, how our choices shape reality, how even the smallest action can ripple out and change everything. Heavy, Torva mutters, but not unkindly.
You add your own thoughts. Maybe it offers healing too. Ethereum was corrupted by dark mana, but look what happened when he let go, when he transformed. He became part of the beauty of the world instead of being destroyed by its darkness. Maybe the Nexus can teach others how to do that, how to transform their pain into something beautiful. I like that, Celeria says softly. Transformation, healing, understanding, those are gifts worth guarding. The three of you talk long into the night, making plans for how to structure this new responsibility. You'll take turns at the Nexus, ensuring someone is always there to guide visitors. You'll travel to spread word of its existence to those who need it. You'll document what you learn in careful detail, creating an archive that Celeria is already excited to organize. But more than that, you'll live. You'll remain friends, supporting each other through the long years ahead. You'll celebrate victories and comfort each other through sorrows. You'll watch the world change around you, and you'll change with it, growing into the guardians Etherian believed you could become. Days later, when you finally emerge from the cavern, you find that Nocthea Vale has changed. The twisted darkness has receded somewhat, pushed back by the light of Etherian's transformation. The trees are still dark, but they no longer feel malevolent. Watchful, yes, but protective now, like they understand what you're doing and approve. As you walk back toward the Loomlands, you notice that the dragon's scales have scattered far and wide, carried by wind and mana currents. You find them everywhere, glowing softly in unexpected places. A reminder, a blessing, a promise that the Dreamwing's final flight carried him to every corner of Aetherfall he loved. Standing at the border between Nocthea Vale and the Loomlands, the three of you pause to look back at the land that will now be your home. Ready? Celeria asks. Ready, you confirm. Torva grins, slinging an arm around both your shoulders. Then let's go be legendary. And together, bound by friendship and purpose and a dragon's final gift, you walk forward into your new life, guardians of the Nexus, keepers of transformation, three souls who answered a call and found their destiny in the process. The world of Aetherfall spreads before you, full of wonder and danger and infinite possibility. And you know with absolute certainty that whatever challenges come, whatever adventures await, you'll face them together. Because some bonds are stronger than mana, deeper than magic, more enduring than even dragons. Some bonds are simply meant to be.
And that, my dear travelers, is where our journey together ends for tonight. I hope you found peace in this tale of friendship, transformation, and dragons who guard not treasures, but truths. May you rest well, knowing that even the heaviest burdens become lighter when shared with those who love you. Thank you for walking these roads with me through Aetherfall. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Until next time, stay safe, dream gently, and sleep well.